with recovery efforts still ongoing from last hurricane season and this one now ramping up, the pressure is only growing. So let's talk about this. We'll continue our conversation, what this means for homeowners, with the Chief Investment Officer at Kingsview Partners, Scott Martin. Scott, it's great to have you back with us. We know that this has been such a layered issue, so we've been tackling this over the last couple of weeks now. We talked about those impacts on the property values. The latest data shows, I wanted to get the number right, it's an almost 300% jump in homeowner policy non-renewals. That was from 2018 to 2023 in Florida. What do these numbers tell you?
That things are getting ugly, certainly. And the numbers are, it depends if you look at the numbers to really see what they are. I mean, you're right. The 300% jump is reflective of basically like a 1% to 3.9 something percent. So there's a jump in there, don't get me wrong. But it's not, it's high, but it's not crazy high to where all of a sudden things are going to fall apart. But it's a trend, Ian, like you said. And I think it's sort of like you said, it started happening a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, severe weather, then floods and things like that. And I think truthfully, at least in my experience, almost 3 years ago now, with Hurricane Ian, you not named after him, thank goodness, but Hurricane Ian that came through Fort Myers, Sanibel, and Captiva, and smashed a lot of things on the west coast of Florida, and really did that Category 4 damage that I think Florida was kind of hoping to avoid for many years to come. And so insurers started to really struggle under those replacement costs. And so now you've got the California wildfires, you've got the other couple hurricanes, few hurricanes that have come to Florida since Hurricane Ian, obviously the floods in North Carolina and so on. I mean, the severe weather outbreak, the floods in Texas. I mean, we could talk all hour about this stuff. And the point being, the disasters are going up. Home prices are guess are going down or flattening off a little bit, certainly. And insurers are in more dire straits than ever. And frankly, quickly, homeowners don't feel like paying the new insurance rates that insurers are putting out there to cover their own behinds because they've got high impact damage going on.
Yeah, Scott, you mentioned the minutia of it. It's so complicated that it makes a lot of people's heads spin. All the while, they're staring down these high-impact weather events. Over in California, you had mentioned the historic wildfires. Hundreds of thousands of policies have been moved over to what's called the State Fair Plan. Can you break down what's behind that shift? Is this more or less like a policy of last resort?
Yeah, unfortunately. And how do you feel if it's a policy of last resort that you're going to the state of California for it? I mean, can you imagine how dire straits you're already in because maybe your home had been destroyed before and you're getting it rebuilt, and then the insurers don't want to offer coverage, Ian, because they just feel like there's too much risk in the area. And regardless of whether they make the premium large enough to cover some of their own liability, insurers are just leaving territories or leaving states. And we saw that in Florida after several of the hurricanes. And so some new companies can come in. Sometimes banks can come in and do something. But invariably, like we've seen in California and typically Florida too, which is called the Citizens Option, you can have, they have a state-run program that, I mean, when you're dealing with California, good luck with regards to anything, let alone insurance policies for your home. But that's one option that, unfortunately, like you mentioned, these poor folks are having to go to because they're out of insurance options normally.
Scott, I wanted to ask you, we talked about how complicated this is. In a general sense, how localized are some of these issues? You have these insurance companies, which through studies decide how high risk areas are, but then you have to consider that now spread across an entire state. Are they able to pick and choose who gets insured and who doesn't, or is it just they do business in the state and that's it, or how does that work?
It depends how much energy they have. You know, in the war room, if you will, at an insurance company, they've got the actuarial fortitude to say, okay, this is where the risks are and where they aren't. Whether they draw it down to like a street or an area or like an acreage, they usually don't. They usually make it easy and just say, well, this is the area that we're not going to cover. Hoping that while they don't cover that area, folks that do get the offer of coverage outside of that area get coverage. But, you know, the other part, Ian, as you know, is that we've seen with the hurricanes in Florida, and thank goodness the tropics have been so benign so far this year because that's a good start of things. But the reality is that when areas don't get insured, those are the areas that get protected. And then the areas that maybe do get the insurance get hit, and then it blows up the whole insurance process anyway eventually. That seems to be the way things work in the last few years. So that being the point, insurers are now taking a little bit more of a risk-off, say, approach to where if there's any risk that they aren't feeling like they're getting the appropriate premium deposit for the person they're insuring or the home, they won't take it. And so that's where you're starting to see more states come in And goodness, if the states have to come in and cover this, good luck, because it's going to keep rising as long as we keep getting natural disasters.
Right. Yeah, and it's those non-renewal numbers are a little bit uncomfortable, because we would hope through this past several years with all the high impact weather, folks have been made whole. But now if you're not carrying insurance or you're underinsured, we could be in a really bad spot as more of these events
could
keep
take a long
happening.
time.
So yeah, we'll be watching it. Thank you for the insight, the analysis. That's Kingsview Partners Chief Investment Officer Scott Martin. Scott, great to see you.
See ya.